Hey guys, Kirk here, and thank you for joining me on a new video on the channel. In this video I want to look at biomes and setting up a new biome for our landscape shader. Essentially what a biome is a paintable area where you can paint a different looking environment into your game world. So what do I mean by that? So essentially right now we've got this material down where we've got dirt and grass all bundled together, and it's got its slopes and snow caps and all that good stuff. Essentially this is a biome, where it could be like a grassland biome, and that's essentially a biome. And what I want to do is utilize what we have here to create a fresh new biome. So maybe over there in the distance in the mountains you could have some sort of Arctic snow area where your player might get really cold and all that good stuff, but you can essentially make a biome where you could paint it down onto there. It utilizes all the same logic that we created in this playlist so far, on this series so far, and you could utilize that to create a new biome over there. Like over there you could have some sort of forest biome, where we could create a different kind of grass with different kind of dirt and all that good stuff. And then maybe over here you could have wetlands, so you could use some sort of swampy textures to apply to a biome and just paint that over there. There's multiple options of what you could do with your biome, but I just want to showcase how to create a biome using what we've learned. So if you're here for the first time to learn about biomes, I would highly recommend you start the playlist over, or the series over. The series as a whole is Build Worlds V2, where we're creating a biome itself, not a biome, where we're creating a game world as a whole. But I do have a separate playlist which has been attached to this series, which is called the Game Ready Landscape Shader, and that's where we've just built the landscape shader itself. So yeah, I would highly recommend you starting that particular playlist over if you want to follow along in today's video. Although I may open the functions up so you can see what's inside them and try and pause the video best you can. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the functions that we've already created in the series, because that would be unfair for my subscribers who have followed the series as a whole. So I may open them and you can pause the video and try and rectify what functions I'm using. But the best course of action if you're new to the channel is to subscribe and start the Game World Landscape Shader playlist over as a whole, so you get a good understanding of how a landscape shader is made. With all that being said, in this video I want to concentrate on making a forest biome, so it's not going to be too much dissimilar from what we've got now, but it will be the way that I create all the biomes for this landscape shader. So it is a good starting point, as a lot of the game world will be forest biome, as well as this grassy biome that we're seeing now. So the best way and most important way to recognize when creating a biome is your landscape layer blend. This is exactly where your paintable biomes will be coming from, this landscape layer blend node, and we want to create a new layer. What I am simply going to do is to duplicate this one. So I'm just going to click in the details panel for our landscape layer blend. I'm going to click this drop down menu and click duplicate. It's going to create a new one. Open that up. I'm going to change that name, and this could be called the forest. I've got a caps lock on. Forest biome. Like so. We're going to be using a blend type of high blend, because that's what we've been using throughout the series. So that is probably a good name to start with. Which you can see now we've got a forest biome. Get rid of that. This is our main auto material, as you can see, and we can essentially utilize what we have in this auto material to create a new biome. I've gone ahead prior to the video and got a load of, let's just find them, textures ready. It's highly recommended when you're creating a new biome to create or to download and import some new textures, because you will need them. As you can see, I've got a lot of forest textures going on here. like this one. And you will notice I have downloaded at 2K. That is just solely to save on performance with the landscape shader. And inside here, I go to my slope function. You can see I've got these here. The textures are saying 4K, but if I go to them, you'll see that they're displaying at 2K. That's because in the maximum texture size, I've set it to 2048, which is 2K, and then saved it. It's a good technique to know that. You could change the resolution if you want to. So I've been through as many textures as I can in my time and changed them to 2K, and this is just solely to save on performance. So yeah. Okay, like I said, we're going to be utilising a lot of this, what's in here, in the functions already. The layer blending function we're going to be using, so if I open that up, feel free to pause the video and copy that. We don't need the snow caps, and in the flat ground main, we're going to be using our flat ground mask and a layer blending node. This one's not too much dissimilar from the other one we've just seen. Make sure you get your noodles right, so pause that and check that out. And also the flat ground mask. Let's bring this out a bit. That's all of it. You've got to pause the video and make a copy of that as well, because we're going to be utilising that. Okay, so I've got my textures. It's disappeared again. So I've got all my textures here. Got some desert sand, forest ground, some more forest textures, some rocks, and good stuff like that. Okay, so let's go to the build worlds folder, landscape shader, and then we're going to go and come into layers, and you'll see I've got 0 master, 1 slope master, and 2 flat grounds. That's all this function is inside there, and I want to create a new folder, and this could be 3 underscore forest underscore biome. Right, so, and I can open this up and right click. I'm going to go to materials and the material function, and this one can be called forest underscore biome. Right, so, and this will be our main function, which is going to sit here and plug into here. But if I drag that out now, you'll see nothing's inside it, so it's not going to do anything. The first thing we need to look at when we're creating a biome, we need to think about our slopes, because the slope function itself is a very expensive function because it is triplanar projected. So it is quite expensive. So what I want to do is to try and utilize that same slope function for all the biomes, and that will save a lot on performance. This is completely up to you. If you want a high-end graphical game where you want to use multiple different slopes, then you can do. You can still follow along with what I'm going to do in today's video, and then I'll set it up in such a way where you can apply the slope function outside of the actual biome, so you can just simply drag the slope function to each biome that you want to use that particular slope texture on. So that's the way we're going to set this up. So I'm going to open our forest biome. We don't need to worry about the textures just yet. We'll grab them quite soon, but I'm simply going to start stealing what I need. So what I'm going to need is, I'm going to click on that layer blending node, and I'm going to highlight all these. I'm going to left control and C and make a copy of them and throw these in my forest biome, like so. And then I'm going to go to my flat ground main, and what I want to take is this parameter, the flat ground mask, and the flat ground layer blending function. Is that all we need? You can see we've already got a material layer there. That's a forest floor. It's quite handy. But we're going to be creating our new layers in this video anyway. So I'm going to make a copy of them functions and drag these in here as well. So this could be our flat ground. If I drag that material out into the output, change this output to forest material. Do that, and then duplicate it, and we could change the material for height, like so. And we'll put a set priority of 1. That'll make sure this output is below the material output, like so. Okay, so that is our flat ground layer blending, our layer blending in there. How shall we do this? I may have to swap that around. In fact, I'm not going to use my flat ground because my slope is going to be first. I'm actually going to plug it into there like so. And this flat ground mask, if you like, can be simply plugged into our top material, because our flat ground is going to sit on top of our slope material. And essentially here we want to include our slopes. So like I say, I want to have it so our slope material layer is going to be outside of this particular function. So the way I'm trying to think how to do this, I may actually duplicate this, and this is going to sit in our base material, because I want 2 slope material layers. Drag that down so it's straight a little bit. I can move this over, and similar to the flat ground main, or is it the auto material, I'm going to use a invert. See what I'm doing here, where I'm blending between our flat ground and our slope. We're not using snow caps because I just want that on the auto material, but as you can see, I've got my 2 slope layers here, and then it goes into that flat ground. So if I go to the forest biome, this is our flat ground. Let's just imagine all this is our flat ground and this is our slope. So if I left control and V, if you didn't make that copy of the inverted, then you can simply right click and just type 1 and get the 1 minus, like so. And that's essentially what that does, is it inverts the transition mask. So any transition between the flat ground here and the slope is going to be done here. What I want to do is to drag off here and get a function input. And this is going to be our, let's call this slope A. Maybe slope biome material A. That should be fine. And then we can duplicate that. Slope biome material A, and this could be height A. Right, so, but we do need to change the input type. We can just set this to a scalar parameter because it's just one texture on its own. Then we can put that into there. Then if I duplicate these two, I can essentially change that end to a B. Instead of A_1, change that to a B. As you can see, I've missed the space. I'll do that. Okay, so that was relatively easy. Let's set these priorities up. So the first one is going to be 0. The height biome is going to be 1. That is going to be 2. And this one will be 3. This just sets the order up outside the function, just like we see here. It's like we see here, material A input with the height. It just sets it up outside the function like that. Okay, so that is that sorted out for the inputs for our slope. We'll get round to making the slope a little bit later on. But for now, that's pretty much set up how I want. What we do need to do is to change the names of these. I can get rid of that description. For here, I'm going to call this the... right there. We'll call this forest biome. See, this is the great thing, like I've stated a few times throughout this series, of using a function workflow. You'll come across landscape shaders that are just all built inside one material, and yes, that is a little bit better for performance, but essentially you're not going to save that much. Doing a function workflow like this makes it so much easier to duplicate what your work is and make other things. Like this biome, we're duplicating everything that we've created over the course of this playlist series to do a biome. So now I've got a forest biome. We're going to change the group, and I'm just going to simply call the group forest biome, and that way it's all going to be in the same place. We don't need to worry about things. We could change this name as well from flat ground dirt layer, and then we could call this forest biome layer blending controls. So that's fine. We could change the group as well to forest biome. Make sure the set priorities are okay. So that's our forest biome layer blending controls and forest biome slope detection controls. So this can be 0 and this one can be 1. Like so. Okay, so that is the actual groundwork of the biome set up pretty much. Actually, I do need to change this. So if I copy this forest biome, as you can see, some of the names in here I want to change. Put that in there. Put that in there. I'm just changing these over. It's very important that you change the names where possible. And just make it so it's different from all the rest. Like here, I could just essentially come to the start of here, create them, and just add in that forest biome word, and it separates this from the original source of the slope. So if I do that now, you can see I've got forest biome slope blend intensity, even though it's highly unlikely that this will affect the other parameters of the same name, because the actual title of the vector 4 is different, but it's still the same name, so it may have an effect on the other ones. I'm not 100% sure. If you use scalar parameters that are named the same, they do affect each other. So you could have one scalar parameter that's SS, and you could have 4 of them, and once you change a value in your material instance, it will change for them all because they're all the same name. Well, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. What I want to do now is to come into my forest biome, and I want to take a layer. So I'll go to my master. I just want to check it to make sure it's what I'm looking for. It should be fine. So what I will do is to make a copy of the master, left control and C. I've made a copy. Go back to my layers and my forest biome, and just plop that in here. And now I want to change the name, and this could be forest. Oh, you have to use underscores, biome underscore L1, like so. And I could just simply highlight it again, left control and D, make a copy, and it should set that to L2, which is great. And now I've got 2 different layers for my forest biome. What I want to do now is I can get rid of this actually. I think we're finished with that and the auto material. Now I've got my forest biome. What I want to do is to set them up in a way where they can have their own different textures. This is kind of a tedious part, what we've got to do now, but it's got to be done. And essentially what I want to do is to highlight this one. I think I have still got that name saved. No, I haven't. So forest biome. This is L2. Like so. And then let's go to this forest biome. We'll get that group name and copy that. We'll put that in here. So we've got a forest biome, and then we can textures, like so. There is a neat little trick that I want to showcase here when doing this. I'll do it when I've set up the parameters. Sorry, my mind went a little blank then. Sometimes I seriously think that I forget that I'm recording sometimes. Because I do speak out loud when thinking. So I've got forest biome L2 because we're in forest biome L2. If I go to that one, and I shall just plant that group name in here as well. Forest biome, like so, and then I've got that group for here. Moving back over to L2 or forest biome L2. What I'm going to do is make a copy of that, and then I could simply do it again. I could simply left control and C, and what I've got to do now is to rename these options. So what I'll do for this section, I'm gonna make it so it's normal so you can see what I'm doing here, but for the other layers will speed this section up. So all I need to do here to change is to change the word material to forest biome L2. So if you double click on material, it will just highlight that word, and then you can just left control and V and copy in what you want. I've got one extra space in there, so I'm going to delete back. That's that one, and then I'm going to do the same for the normal, and then go back one, and then the same for the height. This doesn't always work, guys, like I may show you here. If I double click on material, it actually did work, so that's a plus. And then this one, material, well, it worked. Oh wait, now I'm leaving them spaces in there, aren't I? Let's have a look. There you go. It's got to be normal for me. If this is your first time to my channel, you'll know. You won't know this, but I do have to be very neat and tidy. But these ones, as you can see, the names are quite long, so I'll be surprised if it grabbed material. Well, it has. This is what you want to see. Material. There you go. It's not done it there. Go. Delete. And let's get into this one. And there you go. It's done it again. Material. Okay, so as you've seen, it can be tedious when you're setting up multiple material layers. But now we've got all these in the right naming, if you like. So these can go into the forest biome textures, like so. And what do we call these? I think I shall put them all. So I've got my forest biome layer blending, which is going to be right at the top, which is fine. The slope detection, which will be below it, I assume, and then we want to set it up in such a way where they're all in order, but I do want to use the same forest biome group for them all. So if I highlight these, hold left control and click and drag over them, and I've highlighted them now, so I can essentially put these in the same group, like so. Forest biome. Do we need to set up an order? One. Let me think. This is L2. I'll come back to the set priority because this is L2 and not L1. Okay, so let's quickly move over to L1. Double click on material, forest biome, and I can put L1. Like so. I'm going to try and copy it where there's no space. Makes it a little bit quicker. Okay, so like I said when I did the forest biome L2, I did that at normal speed, but I'm going to speed this up now because no one wants to watch me copying and pasting all day. So I'll just speed this section up. Okay, so now that is set up, we've individually named our material options as well. What I do want to do now is just to think a little bit. So we've got our forest biome, we need forest biome textures. If I highlight this, left control and C, make a copy, click in this group on forest biome textures. And you can see that I've set the group as forest biome textures because I want to show you a neat little trick to clean up a material instance here. So they're both the same. So I'm going to start setting the group. This is L1, so our layer 1. So I want this at the top. So I'm going to set these up in such a way where they're going to be at the top of the group, near enough. And then I'm going to go to L2. Where's the last one? So that's set priority of 3. So this can be a 4. This one could be a 5. This one could be a 6. And this one could be a 7. So now our textures are all set up. What I want to do now is to make sure that I can hide and unhide these textures. So what I want to do, let's just have a look first. I need to choose the textures. I don't technically actually just yet. Yeah, let's do it this way. So I'm going to sort of duplicate this. Right click and convert to a constant. It will just set it back to default, and copy this 3 more times like so. And what I can do here, I'll just highlight these, left control and C, come into L1, left control and V, and copy them in there as well. So I am going to make this hell of a lot bigger, drag this up here, drag that in there like so, and that can go up here, drag that in there. I still may have to make this bigger, like I will. Let's drag that up, drag these up, like so, and then drag that one in there. Bit weird working from this distance, nevertheless. We may go a bit bigger because I don't like it when it's dead brim on the edge. Do that. And what I want to do is to set up a switch. So if I do switch, and then I want the static switch parameter, and I can call this C forest biome textures, like so. And I can just simply do that. This could be set in the forest. Oh wait, I've not set up the material yet. So what I'll do, I'll take a copy of left control and C, take it in here, left control and V, paste it in here. And I could change this to forest biome, but I want to set the priority as -1. Now this means it'll be right at the top, which is exactly what I want. And I can just simply duplicate this here, like so. Go back to L1. I can actually delete that one. Go left control and V, left control and V. 4 times for each texture. And essentially what I'm going to do here is set it so if I click see forest biome textures, it'll be true and it'll allow me to change them. If not, it'll be false and just utilize the texture that we put in here. So for my forest one, I'm going to choose a texture now. So go off layers, go to this textures. Let's go this forest floor. Let's have a look. I'm not too sure about that one. Forest mulch sounds a bit weird, like so. Have we got any more? Forest path. Not really. Chose any decent ones. Rocky ground. No, thank you. I'm just going to have to go with an arbitrary texture just to showcase the tutorial. I could probably come in and move this later. So if I get my albedo now, if I click on my albedo, it's highlighted. Click that top one, press that arrow. Click this one, press that arrow. use selected asset from content browser, and now I've applied that texture to both of these. The next one is roughness. So if I click on the roughness texture, click here, like so. The next one will be the normal. Click on the texture object, use selected texture, like so. And then the last one would be height, which is our displacement texture. We'll apply that in there, and we shall apply that in there. Okay, so that's our forest biome L2 textures imported. For the one, I want a grassy texture. So I could go for mossy grass. That looks fine. What's the current one we're using? Might be the same actually. Let's have a look for another texture. Mossy ground. We'll just use this one. So, like before, I'll speed it up. We've just got to apply these textures in there. Okay, so now that is set up, what I want to do is to quickly save it, what we've got so far, and set these up in such a way. This is our roughness. So this could be this one, the normal, and this one could be the height. So essentially now what I've set up is a switch parameter where we can opt in to change our particular textures, and if not, it can be just a standalone texture, but we're utilizing the same one, but I can change it if it's enabled. So we can simply drag these into each of these material inputs, like so. And like I say, what I've set up here is a way where we can save on space for our material instance and have it so we can turn on and off the actual material textures. So if we apply that, save it, go to our biome L2, and we just need to, like we've set up here with these textures, we could do it for here, but like I say, I'll speed this section up guys so you don't have to watch me do it all again. Okay, so now that is set up, we can apply that and save, and now our biomes L2 and L1 are set up and ready to go. We've got our materials, they're in the group. Let's just make sure forest biome. Shall we set up the order now? Actually we will. So the options, these are set up to forest, needs to be forest biome, like so. So our switches are set as -1, so they'll be right at the top. Our textures are in a completely different category, but our actual forest biome are not. So I'm going to start with the forest biome L1, and this set priority can be a 0, and that one can be a 1. This one can be 2. Yeah, 1 and then 2. This one can be a 3 and this one can be 4. And then what we do is go to L2, our forest biome L2, and this can be 5. This one can be 6. This one can be 7. And this one can be 8. And this can be 9. And now, hopefully, I've set this up in such a way where it'll match up on our material instance. We'll save them. We've got forest biome, and we've got them set up there, ready to go. I think that is it. What? I'm gone a minute. So that's 0. That's 1. Wait there. I may have to redo these again. Actually, I'm sorry for this. What I've done here in the actual, these are the main options for our forest biome. We've got the blending layers, the blend layer controls, which are to blend these two together. And then we've got the slope detection where it'll change between the forest biome L2 and L1 between the slope. But them set priorities are 0 and then 1. And for these, I need to go from 2 onwards. Then for this, it'll be onwards from that. So I am going to speed the video up once again, because I seriously don't want you guys to sit here like, wow, 1, 2, 3. So it's not good. So 0, 1. Then okay, so we're going to hit apply on there now. They're saved. Save the L1 as well. Hit apply there. And now our forest biome actual layers should be set up. Ready to rock. All we need to do now is to apply this forest biome. And just let it save everything. Oh, it's not connected up, so it doesn't need to compile. But as you can see here now, I've got a forest biome function all set up. Like so. And now what it wants is a slope. So what I'm going to do is go back to my build worlds, landscape shader, and I am going to go to layers. Let's have a look at this slope master. Let's open this up. I'm actually going to utilize this. This looks set up already. What I am going to do, how shall I do this? Let's make a copy of that slope master layers. Essentially, wait there, I could essentially just use where I use slope A. I could essentially just use our slope cliff albedo, but I would need to change the name. Let me have a think about this. Right, okay, thought about it. What I'm going to do is make a copy of this slope A. I do need 2 actually. Let me think. I shall call this, if I just come to my layers folder, badoosh, this has got me stung. Let's make a new folder and we'll call this 3 underscore biome underscore slope. And this will allow me to change that name from 3 to 4. Just like do its change. Oh dear, no. Close it. Damn. Something happened. Why am I getting this slow? Forest biome. Oh, that's right. Yep. That's fine. L1. So, if I've done that, where is L2? Let's right click and we shall. This is a bit weird. Where's L2? Open it. It still works. It's a bit weird. Okay, so anyway, let's get this slope sorted. Layers. Biome slope, and then we can left control and V, and then we've got our material layer slope A. What I'll do is rename this to biome underscore slope underscore A. Change that name, left control and D, make a duplication of it. Wait there. A. On, oh, this could be B actually, like so. And what I'm planning to do here, guys, it's a bit, I feel like it's a bit off course, this tutorial at the minute, but these 2 slopes for here, slope A and slope B, and essentially what I need to do here, guys, is to do the same for my biome slope A and biome slope B, the same as what we did for our forest biome material layers. Close it down. I essentially just need to do the same thing, is renaming it and all that good stuff. So biome slope A, I'm not going to bother. In fact, when I think about it, guys, I'm going to cross them off actually, and I'm just going to use the slope from our actual auto material. I may change to their own slopes, but I may just use these actually. So if I get my material layer slope A and dirt B, left control and C, put them into here, left control and V. Nope, that's the wrong place, sorry about that. My mind is a bit warped at the minute, guys, because I'm trying to think of a way where we could save on performance. Left control and V, and these are our main slopes. So actually what I am going to do, I'm going to open the forest biome, take these material inputs, these function inputs, left control and C, go to my auto material and paste them into there. And then essentially I can just copy these in here like so. This will save a lot of time and a lot on performance as well, believe it or not. I can get rid of that. Left control and D. And fire them into there. And then hit apply. And what I can do is to make this so I can use this slope A and dirt B layer for both my auto material and my biome, which is great. The effects of this slope detection on this will apply in here, as well as this slope detection here will apply in this particular area as well. So you can still change the slope detection controls from the forest biome to the actual auto material whilst using the same material layers, slope layers. I'll make this a bit bigger now, like so. Drag that into there. My slope A can go in there. So, my slope B, and then I can simply drag them into there as well. And this will save on a lot of shader instructions as well. Okay, so that is that. You can see we're still at 333, which is quite a good instruction count for the same what we've got in this material actually. And we'll hit apply. This should build up a lot of shaders. I've just got my fingers crossed for the actual material layer to make sure it's worked out okay. But if I hit save everything we've done up to now. And now let's go and test this out. So I've applied the master material with this slope A and dirt B into the auto material, and it's still the same, which is brilliant. What I would advise to do now, we've set this up, let's save it real quick, doesn't need saving. Our forest biome, we'll leave it there for now. But we'll hit apply. May need to compile shaders. Yeah, there we go. So let them shaders compile. Let's check our landscape mode. It's calculating shaders in the background. There we go. That's why it's lagging a little bit. Like so. And just wait for it to catch up, guys. And there you go. So I'll compile the call. If I click on paint, you can see I've got a main auto material. This will want to compile again because I've clicked on the paint. There we go. Okay, let's reduce that size. And you can see now we've got our main auto material and our remove slope texture. The remove slope texture is essentially, hang on, my engine is slowing down, it's really working hard in the background. This is my remove slope. If we open the slope detection, yeah, it's really slowed down my computer at the minute, it's dealing with a lot in the background, and this is my remove slope right there. So if I go back here, and I've got my main and remove slope, I'm not seeing the forest layer forest biome. That's because it's not built the cache up yet. So what we need to do is come out of landscape mode, and we're all saved. Let's just double check and save again. Something is happening here. Oh no, we're all right. We're all right. What I want to do, I've showcased this before on this channel, of where we just do a reset map. I've got one. Yeah, I've got recent levels. I've got a reset map, and essentially to get a reset map, you just go new level, choose empty level, create it, and then save it as an empty level, or reset map as I've called it. So all I need to do is go to recent levels, reset map, and you can see once it opens up, it's just a dark screen. This gives the chance for the engine as a whole as well to catch up, because it's cooled down on rendering. And now I can simply go back, recent levels, build world v2, and load it up again. Okay, and now we're back in our level again. You can see everything's fine. If I go, my material's still fine, my forest biome's still fine. I go to landscape mode, and now you'll see I've got a forest biome right there. Just let it load and it'll change its image. Kind of looks the same as the other ones, which is a bit concerning. Never mind. You can see I've got no layer info. You need a layer info for the tool, the landscape modeling paint tool, to communicate with the actual shader. So if we go on this little plus here, weight blended layer, and you can save this wherever you want. I have the build worlds v2 map shared assets. That's automatically created when you create your first layer info, and I just save them all in there. Press save. There we go. If I click on this now, I'll need to choose my landscape material layer in my landscape mode. I do showcase all this at the start of the build worlds v2 series. Sorry, mind blank. I just click down here now, just let that generate. There we go. You can see now that I've got a new biome here. It's not fully set up, so what I'm going to do is just showcase. You can see bits coming through. I'm just going to showcase changing this in the material layer. We'll go back to selection mode. You can see the UVs are massive. So what I need to do is open my material instance for our landscape, and hopefully everything I've set up is fine. Material instance. Let's have a look here. Let's just drag it to one side. Like so. Make it a bit smaller. Like that. There we go. So, drag this down a bit. Okay, so I've got my general material, important material controls. We'll close that up. Flat ground controls, slope material layer, flat ground material layer, and there's my flat ground textures. And now we're at the forest biome. As you can see, it's exposed my slope textures, which is fine actually, because they use the same. They use the same slope textures as what are on the general one. But if I click on the C forest biome textures, click on that, it should now show. That's a flat ground. Where are you? Forest biome textures. There's some anomalies there. You can see I've got my L1, L2, 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 L2. There's some naming anomalies there. No, they're not. It's just that they're not all in the same group. So the first thing you would want to do, and they are material textures L1. Yeah, essentially it's just L1. So if I go to my forest biome L1 and highlight each individual parameter, not these ones, you don't need to worry about them. Do them, multiple values, and then forest biome textures. And some of them have still got material options on. I do that, highlight all of these, like so, make sure they're all set to forest biome, hit apply, and this should change now on here, and there we go. Just compile the shaders, save that forest biome L1. I tell you what guys, in all honesty, I am surprised that has worked out like it has. It doesn't always do that, and there's always something that catches you out. But as you can see, I've got my forest biome C biome textures there. I've got all my textures here. I can disable that and all the textures will go away. Flat ground textures, I could do with doing the same thing with flat ground textures and the slope textures, but that can be done at another time. You can see I've got my forest biome layer blending controls and my slope detection controls, and then my forest biome L1, all the L1s and L2, like so. What I need to do is save this real quick, and then I shall click on content draw and save all. Just make sure it saves everything, because my engine is performing not that great at the minute guys, so I do want to do a save just in case it crashes. May not, but you never know. Okay, so let's just change a few things here. So we'll come back to layer blending. What I want to sort out is the actual UVs. So the UVs are set up slightly different. For the far, because I have applied virtual textures to the landscape shader, my UVs have swapped. So as you can see, for the near, I've got 1200, but for the far, I'm going to change that to 1200. And then the mid can be 650 and then 200. Like so. Now you can see I've changed that, but nothing's happened there. That's because this actual texture you've seen here is my L2. If I change this to 1200, 650, and then 200. Like so. And now you can see the UVs have changed in size. It seems to be like the breakup is not that great. Texture breakup controls. Right, okay. So 5, 6, 10, 0, 10. Yeah, you can see the difference. And it just reduces the repetition a little bit. Okay, so let's just break this up with our forest biome layer blending. That's why I put these controls at the top, because they're the most important. So for the forest biome UV mask, let me have a look what I have it set up as over here. Flat grounds, so flat ground blending is 0.0035 with 1 and 1.4. Let's give that a try. 0.0025 and then a 1. Is it 1? Flat ground grass. What we're looking for. Oh, it's a blending, isn't it? Yeah. 1 and 1.4 for the sharpness. Let's just try this. 1.4. There you go. And you can see now over here, this is the actual grass texture within the L2 biome. So if I even decrease that actually, 0.0011, no, 0.0025, maybe go 35, 1, 2, 0.1, yeah, there you go, 0.025, there we go. So what we're seeing there is not fully to the scale of what I would want it to be, but I've got that breakup in the forest ground. If I increase that intensity, And now it's getting to the point of where the grass is more populated than the actual secondary texture. XX does nothing, so 0.0011. That's ridiculous. 0.00025. That's ridiculous. 0.1. 0.08. 0.02. Yeah, that should be fine. That'll be fine for now. Okay, so essentially what we've done there is created a forest biome. It doesn't look particularly great. I would have to seriously go through everything, like our L1 color overlay. No, the color overlay is fine. Common options, so if I increase the contrast, yeah, increase the contrast for that. Then the roughness could be 0 maybe, I don't know why, or 1. Then the normal, 2.1, 0, 2.1. Yeah, so that is the actual grassy area. I'm going to go 1.5 for that. And there we go. And we could just go through and change what we want. So our L2. We'll increase the contrast there as well. And that'll increase that contrast for that secondary layer. Because you do, forest areas are not very bright. And this is like high contrast. Whereas this is not that high. But yeah. So essentially, I can go ahead. If I save that material instance, I'm quite impressed actually that the material instance has worked out first time. I can close that down. But yeah, so now we've got a forest biome texture set up. I can go ahead, and if I go to a sloped area, maybe like here, I can go ahead and apply this paint here. And you can see it's starting to paint that down. If I go down to the slope, you'll see it'll just carry on with that slope layer that we've been using in general, which is great. But this gives you also the opportunity to go ahead and create new slope layers. So you could duplicate these or rename them or use these and just plug them straight into here, which is great. But as you can see, it doesn't look great because I'd have to spend a little time with the actual biome itself and change all the UVs up, the contrast, the brightness, the colour and all this good stuff. But I do not want to sit here doing that on camera because I believe this particular tutorial is long enough. But yeah, so there as you see, we have the grassy normal auto material biome versus our new forest biome. Like I say guys, that's not a finished product. You would have to spend a bit of time to set up the UVs, set up the blending, set up the contrast and colour and brightness and all that good stuff. So yeah, that is a new biome. And you could essentially do this with snow as well, so you could keep the same slope A and dirt layer. You could change them as well if you want, you don't have to use them. And you could set up a new biome, maybe like I say at the start, a wetness biome, then a snowy Arctic biome, and just apply them to your layer blend node here. You'd have to create a new material, a new layer blend here, like we did for the forest biome, and just keep adding this. You could even duplicate this and rename it, like so. But yeah, the way that's set up, I'm quite happy with that. It means doing this, you could spend quite a while now creating multiple biomes. I may do another video on advanced biomes where I actually showcase setting them up, setting up the colour. I don't know whether that would be a good kind of video for the channel or not, but now's the opportunity for you to create as many biomes as you need. Obviously I wouldn't go crazy and start having 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 biomes, because it will just, even with runtime virtual textures, it will just start cancelling out and your shader will become really expensive. But yeah, as it's set up now, we've got a new biome that we can simply paint down where we want it, and hopefully that has helped. So yeah, sorry about that. So if you found this interesting and you have learnt quite a bit, I am sorry for the length of the tutorial, but I am down to doing a tutorial every 2 weeks now. I did say that in the Discord, so if you didn't get that message about me doing every 2 weeks because of work commitments, new work commitments, then jump in the Discord where I will be doing live updates on where I am and what videos I'm doing and good stuff like that. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I say, sorry for the length, but I do prefer to showcase what I'm doing in detail so everyone gets to learn. So yeah, thank you, like, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video, guys. Thank you.